Hello and welcome to the Road End podcast, where each week we will speak to a new guest, get to know them, and talk all things Liverpool.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Road End podcast. I'm pleased to say today I'm joined by Ryan McLaughlin. Ryan's a professional footballer who many will recognise from his time at Liverpool. He's capped at international level for the Northern Ireland on many occasions, and he's also a co-host on Brawl Boxing, who regularly interview people in the fighting game. First of all, how are you?
Yeah, I'm all good. I'm back in Belfast at the minute. Just basically waiting to see sort of who I'm gonna sign for really at the minute. So hopefully I'll have more news in the coming weeks like of what's gonna happen. So
Is the offers on the table?
yeah, there's offers on the table. And there's a few that hopefully are gonna be coming in. That's a few abroad as well. That sort of I'm quite interested in exploring. Like so, I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks because their seasons are sometimes different than the regular like English season, like so
Yeah.
dates and that. So for example, like America, they have I think that their season ends in the next coming weeks. And then they start up in January, and there's a few more leagues like that. So I'm gonna look at them. I wouldn't mind playing abroad, and I've always sort of wanted to at some point.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna look at them options and then just sort of go from there and then make a decision.
You're only 28, aren't you?
Yeah, I've just turned 28, so I'd like to say hopefully I'd have a few years, but you never know with football, don't you? With injuries and that, and what can happen. Like, but touch wood, like I'd like hopefully to play in the mid 30s, like so.
Yeah.
Just see what happens, really.
I don't know how much you can mention it or talk about it, but what happened with the Morecambe? I noticed you terminated that. Is that just mutual?
Yeah, well, I was wanting to leave sort of during the summer. There was some things like obviously I can't speak about, but
Yeah.
basically yeah. So it ended up I needed to get out before the window ended, or I'd been there to January,
Yeah.
and I ended up getting it obviously terminated on deadline day, which makes me able to explore other options. So no, I'm just glad that was done. Like obviously I had a great time there at Morecambe, but it was sort of time for me to move on. Like I didn't really sort of want to be there, so I'm glad I sort of got out.
How's it being back in Belfast?
So what? This is probably the longest I've been home since it was probably 15, 16. Like so. I mean, it has been good. Obviously, it's sort of like anytime you leave the door, some people are like, "So what's happening with you? Who are you going to next? Who are you going to next?" So every time, and it's like, you're just saying the same answer over and over again. So sometimes that can get draining. But I enjoy obviously being back with my family and that. My missus lives here in Belfast at the minute too, so I'm around her a lot more. I'm around my mates and that too, that obviously I grew up with. So that's good as well. But I'm sort of ready now to go back and sort of get back playing and that. So
Yeah.
hopefully in the next couple of weeks I'll have something sorted like. But yeah, no, it is enjoyable.
How are you keeping the fitness going with not playing?
It's, I mean, actually, like I said, I was down with a flu for about a week, about
Yeah.
10 days ago, and like, see, coming back from that, I done with one run after it, and I was absolutely done in. Like, but I had a very good fitness level before that too, because I would be doing boxing training in the morning, and then I would be doing my runs or training with somebody Joe at night, and like I felt a very very good like fitness base, and then just see that week of just being wiped out with a flu, it just like just zapped that ring away from me, and then see I'm trying to build it up now in the past probably week, probably 4 or 5 days actually, and oh it's been horrible like, but I'm getting there. It can be mentally draining training by yourself too, Joe. Like sometimes you could be slogging it around the pitch by yourself, and obviously like so you need to try and be in a sort of team format, and
Yeah.
obviously that's difficult when you're a free agent because there's obviously insurance policies as well when you're training with teams and that, so you need to be careful in case you get injured, but it's all right. I've done it before, done it through lockdown. I think lockdown helped a lot of people sort of do training by yourself, sort of knowing
Hmm.
what you can do in that, and I'm sort of it's a weird one to say, but you can get used to it a bit sometimes now that I've done it probably 3 years in a row, because I didn't sign for Morecambe until September. So July or June, July, August, I was training by myself,
Yeah.
doing something quite similar, and obviously I left on deadline day, 31st of August this year. So I've had all of September basically doing it. So I'm at that stage now where like I'm sort of like, all right, I need to sort of hopefully get something sorted now in the next week or two. So I'm hoping to have that. And then once I have that sorted, then I have something to aim for.
Yeah, and is one of the aims to get back in Northern Ireland setup?
Yeah, that's all. I mean, that's always an aim. It's something I've obviously enjoyed when I was throughout my career. Like had some unbelievable memories and that, and some unbelievable even off the pitch. Just like celebrating and that, because I was part of a squad that done really really well getting to the Euros. So yeah, no, obviously that's always a door would never have closed. Like but yeah, it's just basically getting my bread and butter sorted now, which is your club football. Hopefully having that sorted ASAP, and then I can sort of push on and have a plan in place then sort of to go ahead and hopefully get back in the M squads and get playing again. But yeah, it is a weird one at the minute, but that's the way it is in football.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
so when you moved over to Liverpool at 16, how was that knowing that you was actually, because I'd imagine at 16 you're thinking, where am I going or what am I doing? When that call come, how did that feel?
So what? I remember I was just sat in my living room, eating my dinner, and the day I walked in from the kitchen, he was just like he was on the phone, and he was just like, I've just had Liverpool on the phone. And I was like, so what? It sounds a bit mental, but that was the one club that I went, whoa.
Really?
So what? Like I was like, because I had Man City and all in for me. I had like, I had a good, I had a lot of Premier League clubs in for me, but like it was Liverpool that made me just think, whoa. I just remember that feeling, and I was like, no way. And he was like, yeah, they want you to, and like there wasn't like I was wanting to go on trial. It just like they'd been watching me for a couple of years, and I didn't even know, and they wanted me to sign for them. And I was like, this is mental. And then they were like, right, they're going to a tournament in Spain, and would have fancy going over and playing in it with them. And I was just like, yeah, obviously. So I went over, done really well in the tournament. And I was like, do you know what? This is like, yeah, I really enjoyed here. Like I want to sign for Liverpool instead. It was between Liverpool and Man City, and then Liverpool wanted me to go over on my GCSE years. And I was see for because I was always away from about 14 to 16, like near enough every weekend at different clubs in England. I was like quite homesick, and I loved home because I was always away from it. I always want, and I remember thinking to myself, no, I'm not ready to go over yet. Like I was only 15 at the time, not ready to go over yet. They're like, well, Liverpool, this is what they do. Like they want you in on your under 16 year before you go in the under 18, just to get you used to which is 100% like the right way, like sort of get you used to youth like full time football type thing. Before you go into youth team, I was like, nah, I can't do it. I'm not ready for it. Like I wanna be home and do my GCSEs first before I go over. So then I thought that was Liverpool off the table, and I was signing for City. And then Liverpool were like, do you know what? We'll bring you over every weekend instead. After
Wow.
school on a Friday, fly over and then go back after the game, and then just come over every school holiday. So I was just like, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that. And I ended up obviously then signing. Looking back, I was probably a bit naive in the sense I was just like really homesick, and I should have probably just went over a year earlier because there was no problems. But I was just like, you know, when you're that young at 15, you're like sort of you get a wee bit like, oh, I'm leaving, like I'm going to England. Like you get a bit scared, don't you? And even when I went over at 16, I wasn't ready. I was just like, like the first I remember before I went over, I was like walking about town with my brother, and I was just thinking, I was like, I've signed a 3-year deal here. Um, I'll go over, give it a shot, but like if after the 3 years I've got this amount of money, I can come back and try and invest it. That was in my mind because I was so homesick for some reason, and I was just like, I'll end up at home anyway, but I'll just go over, and I'm not staying. I won't be staying here. Like I'm so homesick. Blah blah blah. And then I think it's because I had no pressure on me that I thought I was gonna just go home. That I just started. I was playing really really well. I ended up going up to the reserves within about a month.
Wow.
And then when I went up to reserves and was playing well there, and I was just like, you know what, I'm enjoying it all now. Like I actually love it. And I ended up loving being in Liverpool. I loved the city of Liverpool. I loved like my house parents that I was living with, like my housemate Chris Peterson, who was Swedish. I'm from West Belfast, so when we first met, we had nothing in common, we thought, but we ended up being best mates. So like it ended up just like working out really well, and I ended up loving it at Liverpool. And I still love the city now. Like that's why after I left Liverpool, I was just going to any team in the Northwest, so I could still live there. So it's mad the way it works. From the first month of just being ridiculously homesick to absolutely loving it. And I remember my brother and all saying to me, because he obviously went over to Preston a couple of years before me, he was like, "You'll get used to it." And I was like, "I don't want to get used to this feeling." I think I was homesick. So I mean, I didn't want it. I was just like, it's like anyway. I mean, it's 16. You're a young boy, like still going over. Like, but Liverpool were brilliant with me too. I remember Phil Roscoe, Clive Cook. They were brilliant and helped me settle in. All the lads were top as well. And Liverpool's quite similar to Belfast. So when you give it a chance, when I actually like that, it's just like nice, normal, down to earth people, just
Yeah.
working class, like just really like home. And that helped me a lot. And then that was sort of that's how I settled in. Ended up that's how I was playing like sort of my best football because I felt at home then.
Anyone that comes here knows that we're quite honest, we're direct, and we work hard for what we actually get. So I suppose if you got the same models from where you're from, then you will settle in eventually.
It was a perfect mix. Like I always did enjoy it. Like I did enjoy it, even though I was sort of homesick at the time. I was still enjoying it. But then once you sort of get over that homesickness, you can fully take it all in, and that's when I properly started enjoying it, and I ended up falling in love with the city.
Probably most of the lads have either gone or moved on now. But when you was training and you had Henderson in training, for 1 minute, did you think he's going to win everything as a captain of Liverpool?
Even Liverpool at the time, like even to win the Champions League as a club or the Premier League at the time was probably not so much the Champions League because they're like famous in the Champions League, doing really well. Obviously, won it 5 times before that, before obviously won in the sixth one in Madrid. But like even the Premier League and that, you seen obviously Man United, you seen the City, the investment City we're getting and all. I was just like thinking, obviously it's very tough. And obviously Rodgers came in, and I think he came in into my second year, and he was an unbelievable coach. Like his training sessions were unbelievable from straight away, and I didn't expect it to like be that soon. To be challenging for the league.
Yeah.
Obviously, you touched on Henderson there. Like, see, with Henderson, like I always thought there was like him, and then there was like John Joe Shelby around the same age, both centre midfield for Liverpool, and I thought John Joe Shelby is probably the closest thing I've seen to Gerrard as a young player. When people say a young Scousers coming up, be Stephen Gerrard, he's going to be the next Gerrard. Like there was no one that had the passing ability, the aggression that Shelby had. People probably laugh at me saying this, but like I swear to God, see the passing ability that he had, the talent he had, the aggression, like it was so good. And aggression's a big part of his game as well. But
Yeah.
obviously he ended up getting sent off a lot of time. But I remember thinking about Shelby at that time, thinking he is unbelievable. I thought he was gonna be like the stalwart for Liverpool in centre midfield for years to come. And obviously he's still doing really well, obviously in Newcastle. But yeah, I didn't obviously with Henderson, his attitude was always amazing. He always had a brilliant attitude. He always really worked really hard. And obviously you wouldn't have thought he'd have went on and won what he's won, but that's like a lot of time in football. You see players who maybe haven't got ridiculous amounts of ability, but they've went on and done unbelievable things in their career. Like even in like the youth teams, you always thought about players like real technical players who were brilliant. Then you had the likes of Cody, who don't get me wrong, was a brilliant player. There was players like probably even more talented than Connor would probably admit it. But like his attitude was just unbelievable. He was still a very good player. You have to obviously be a really good player to come through in that. But like he had a few setbacks. Like he didn't go on that first tour. That when Rodgers came in, when all the academy lads went on it, like the ones that they were sort of the rated and they sort of thought, yeah. So he didn't go on that, and he didn't sulk about it. No problems. Got on with it. Went out on loan to Sheffield United, done brilliant. Then went to Huddersfield, done brilliant. And like same sort of knockbacks, that professionalism that you need to do well. And that's what obviously what Henderson had, because he was going to get sold to Fulham, wasn't he, at one point? And he didn't want to go. He was like, I'm going to prove myself. And I know he does get a lot of stick off Liverpool fans but see the work that he does off the ball, the work that he does, like the pressing he does, everything, like that makes everybody else be able to sort of express themselves and do obviously the likes of Trent, where he can go forward, and obviously the assists and that, and how important he is for Liverpool. And he does bring a lot of that to Liverpool in the sense of his work off the ball, Henderson. And I think he is unfairly criticised at times.
Yeah. Do you think that's due to the fact that of who he replaced? Because obviously he's replacing probably one of the best players of ever at Liverpool.
Yeah.
He's taking the armband. I think even though his game's completely different,
Yeah.
he was always going to be compared in one way or another, wasn't
he? Yeah. If you're captain of Liverpool, you're playing centre midfield, you're going to get compared to Gerrard, and that's just it. And for example, I know it's different, but Man United have had that problem after Sir Alex Ferguson's left. Every manager who comes in is going to get compared to him, and it's a big thing to have, big burden to carry on your shoulders. Obviously, with Liverpool now, that I think that sort of went away now. But at the start, it was a big thing, and that's why I said about Shelby was more like Gerrard than Henderson, because of the way he played. Henderson never played like Gerrard, never was nowhere near didn't play remotely similar to each other, and people just think, oh, centre midfield, Liverpool, captain now, you must play like Gerrard. You have to compare him to Gerrard, but it's a completely different role. Gerrard took the game by the scruff of the neck all the time. When things were down, he would be the one scoring goals. He'd be the one making assists, whatever. Jordan Henderson's a completely different type player, and I do feel a bit sorry for him in that aspect, because it was really hard for him probably to sort of shake that tag of being compared to Gerrard. And it's like the best player that's ever played for Liverpool, and obviously our years. I'm sure a lot of people say Kenny as well. Yeah, it was very different. I feel like what he's overcome, I think, is even more, I have even more respect for him because of that, because of the abuse he had. I remember everyone used to laugh at him, Stuart Downing, Charlie Adams, all that sort of group of signings, and he stuck that out. He came through it, and he's ended up starting at the end of the day, if Jurgen Klopp's picking you as his captain, playing in the Champions League finals, playing in the big games, you're obviously vitally important to the team and the way that they work. He's came through all that, came through the other end, and now he's starting to get a bit more abuse again this season, isn't he? You obviously see it when Liverpool aren't doing well. They look at him, and it's difficult. When you've got Thiago next to you, who's unbelievable, and the way he's playing, and you just think, and then people probably compare him to Thiago now, and compare him to other players in centre midfield, and you're just like, they're different players, and you have to see what different players bring to the team. You can't have three Thiagos in centre midfield, no matter what. You need to have someone that I know Thiago does do some of the dirty work, but Henderson is very important, I feel, for the likes of Trent and other people, where he can sort of cover for them, and when they're going forward. Yeah, I have a lot of respect for Henderson. I feel like he's done it the hard way. He does deserve all the accolades that he's got now, in the sense that Champions League, Premier League, because he has done it the hard way with Liverpool.
That's it, isn't it? At the end of his career, he can turn around and say he stuck it out and he won everything. So shove that.
Yeah, I know. Literally, medals on the table, as Graham Souness would say.
Yeah. The Being Liverpool programme, I do only want to touch on it briefly. I've spoke to you about the awkward moments of Sterling getting absolutely slated by Rodgers. How was that, and how did he come back from that in terms of, did he hold that against the club and Rodgers, or?
No, see, at the time, I remember the day it happened, it was more like the young players were playing against the old players in the games and that, in the possession. And that day, the young players were getting kicked left, right, and centre. I remember Agger flipping wiped me out that day. And you go on, you obviously fall over and then you just get up, whatever. And then Sterling, obviously, he's a dribbler. He's always on the ball. He's always obviously inviting challenges. So he was probably getting kicked more than anyone. And he was going down quite a bit throughout this. And then I think he got fouled. I was on the other side, you see, so I didn't actually hear the actual conversation. So I was playing right back. He was left wing in my team. So he got kicked, fell over, whatever. I remember Rodgers saying something like, "You're going down too easy." Then that's obviously when Sterling obviously said steady. Rodgers says that anyway. And so I didn't hear it, so I thought nothing of it. So he just brought us all in after training. Like I said to you, I didn't even know the cameras were right on this meeting. I didn't even know he was mic'd up, which was weird. It was weird. And he said, he was just talking. He was like, young players, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then he just turned around. Like, if you say steady one more time, you'll be on the first plane home. And I was like, who's he talking to? And then I looked over, and it was obviously Raheem. I was like, what the fuck? And then obviously Raheem says, he said, stepped on my toe. Obviously really different than steady, isn't it? So I was like, Jesus Christ. And then I was like, do you know what? He's like too much of a star, even like as a young player now. I know he hadn't played, he only made his debut at the end of the season before with Kenny. I was like, too much of a star, like this will just, it'll be fine, I'll blow over. I was blown over within a day, like no problems. Like it was fine. And I know obviously he ended up leaving Liverpool a wee bit like on sour terms and that with, I don't know if it was with Rodgers or anything, but I wouldn't have made an impact on that. That was forgotten about within a day or two.
When I seen him saying it, I thought he'd said it under his breath while Rodgers was giving that little brief, but it was actually through the session, was it?
No, it was actually during the session.
Ah, right, okay.
And then I think that's obviously when he brought it up, and he just went, "And if you say stay to me one more time, or again or whatever, you'll be on the first play." And I was like, then I was like, is that? I thought at the time, and I've said it again before, after I think I actually said it. I think I said it during lockdown to someone. I was like, I feel like Liverpool sort of half threw him under the bus for him because he's a young talent, right? World class, coming through, probably a teenager when this came out. I think he was only 17 when this came out. So like as a 17-year-old, if that happened to me, like my mum and dad back home would be absolutely devastated that a TV program was airing this to the world, making me out to be some sort of spoiled brat just to get views. Right?
As you say that, I think a lot of people, a lot of Liverpool fans especially, have took that as that's what sort of his mindset was, because when he left, everyone thought he had that stinking attitude. Now, whether that's come from that or whether that should come from something else, but it doesn't help, does it?
Yeah, that's what I mean. And I feel like the media like always abused him, didn't they? And I'm thinking, did that ever like play a part in that? That he had that tag from that one incident when he was a kid? And see, to be honest, like I'm not just saying this because I've played with him since I was like 16. Actually, first came up against him when I was like 14, 15 in the Victory Shield. But like he didn't have, he was one of the, he was one, had one of the best attitudes I've seen a young player with that amount of ability have. Because see, when you've got that amount of ability, you feel like you don't have to work hard. You feel like you can walk about with a bit of a strut about you, whatever. He was the complete opposite. Like, and he trained like his life depended on it every day. That's why he's still playing at the level he is now.
Yeah.
Like that's no coincidence that he's still at that level now because of how good his attitude was. If his attitude was shit, he'd have drifted off after he left Liverpool and went to City. He'd ended up drifting off there, and then that would have been it done. But like his attitude, it's been unbelievable. Like, and I think it's going a wee bit away now that I feel like a lot of people are defending him. Joe, when the articles came out,
Yeah.
they Joe like from like I'm not going to name the papers like, but Joe when they're abusing him, a lot of people are coming out to defend him now because they've actually seen and like look at his England career, look what he's done for England too. Like if you have a shit attitude, you're not having a career like that.
No
matter what anyone says. He had a similar attitude to like Connor Cody, but with like the world class ability from a kid. Like don't get me wrong, Connor Cody was brilliant as a young player too. He played for England under 17s, 19s, whatever. But like Raheem is obviously just him, Suso. They were like another level above everybody, and Raheem just had that attitude of like a Connor Cody where he was just so professional too, and that's why he stayed at the very top the whole time.
Brawl Boxing. What brought Brawl Boxing about, and how far do you and the lads want to take it? And I know one of yous is already trying his luck elsewhere with the boxing interviews, and he's too good for you now. So
you know what? See, with so that's Colin obviously. So he was just like sort of, I think he was working in was he working in the bank or something? I can't remember. Kieran's obviously an actor, so his bread and butter's acting. So that's obviously his main focus. And this is just sort of a hobby on the side, and obviously mine's is football, and this is a hobby on the side. So we would just talk in the group chat all the time about boxing. We loved it. We had friends, like I had a few friends in boxing as well, that like from back home, and like we were like, you know what, why don't we just start a podcast? We're always talking about it on the group chat. Might as well just do a podcast. So we basically were like, look, we can get these guests on, I can get the ball rolling. So got them on, done well, got like just getting bigger and bigger names on, and then obviously Callum, he's wanting to be in boxing media for as his full-time job. Kieran's, so he's ended up getting on the IFL TV, which is the biggest YouTube boxing channel, which is unbelievable for him. Kieran's obviously his bread and butter's acting, so he's living in London, so that's why we're doing it on Zoom, because he lives in London. His bread and butter's acting, obviously, and then mine's is football. So obviously when like my football career finishes, I obviously like to go into media more and then start going into things like that. But it's just a hobby for us at the minute, and we want to just try and like keep building it. Obviously, ideally, would like to have a studio at some point, and obviously, yourself as well. Like Zoom's obviously a really good tool to have when, especially when people are in different countries, co-hosts in London. So that's what we're using at the minute. But we're hoping to like do things outside of podcasts as well, sort of like content where with boxers that you always see with footballers, but you never really see with boxers. I want to try and bring that to them. And yeah, just keep building it. And after football, like media is a thing that I really enjoy, like interviews and doing things. I obviously had that show thing with LFC TV last season, which I really enjoyed as well. So all that there's just sort of a bit of experience for when I do finally obviously finish football. Then I can go into, because I have plenty of time to go into it. I'm only 28 now, so I'd rather have my football career first and then go into it after.
For anyone who wants to listen or watch, what can they find it on?
Oh, it's on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, obviously, Brawl Boxing. Interview. We've had really good guests on. Like we ended up getting like Eddie Hearn on, Tyrone Woodley, Shakur Stevenson, Michael Conlon, all big obviously well-known boxers. So yeah, we're just trying to build that up, try and keep going. We took about a couple of months break during the summer. Just one of our obviously co-hosts who's doing the acting, he was away for like 6 weeks or whatever shooting a movie. It's a weird thing to have, and it's like you're saying like so he was away shooting a movie. So he obviously had that. So we're like, you know what, we'll just take a break over the summer. I'm obviously finishing my season. I'll be going away here, there, and everywhere, sort of over the summer break. And we're like, you know what, we'll take a summer break and then we'll start up again. So we've got Carl Frampton coming on next week again, and then hopefully we've got a few other I think I've got a few other guests coming on potentially that's going to be good the next month. So yeah, just looking forward to it. Like I enjoy it. Podcasts or it's just a chat, do you know what I mean? I enjoy it. So as long as the guest can be as relaxed as possible, then that's when you get the best podcast, isn't it?
Yeah, well, quite fortunate I haven't had any awkward ones yet. And I think that's just because...
You know what? You will get one or two, and you just have to battle through it. They'll just give you like short answers. Like I'm not going to obviously name names, but I've had, but like we've had a couple that are just like ridiculously short answers, and you're just like, flip me. And then we'll have Polly Malignaggi on, who speaks for flipping America. So like he can literally like you'll ask him one question. I remember the World Cup was on, and we asked him about Italy. And he started breaking down the football game, like he was boxing analysing it, and I was like, for about 30 minutes from one question, I'm like, oh my days, this is mental.
You've got to ride it out, though, haven't you?
Yeah. So you get the other side of it too. But I enjoyed it. I loved it. Like I was like, so what? For play him, he's so passionate about everything he talks about, and I like that. So no, it's enjoyable. Like I enjoy it.
We asked our guests to choose their ultimate five-a-side team who they've seen live playing for Liverpool. Let's find out what they said.
I finish every episode with a five-a-side team. So I'm going to take it from your five-a-side team that you've played with. Usually it's LFC players, but I'll let you go with your five-a-side team. Goalkeeper, whatever formation. Go for it.
Right. I'm going to go with Danny Ward in goal as a goalkeeper. But he was brilliant for us when he's coming through. Gonna go Johnny Evans at centre back. I'm not even gonna pick my brother.
That's out of order.
No chance. No.
I'm tagging Connor.
Yeah. I go Johnny Evans at centre half. Do you know what though? I played with Suarez, and do you remember he was banned for baiting for about eight or 10 games, whatever it was, and he played a few reserve games. So I might actually have to throw him in at one point here.
Yeah.
If I have a say, so I'll go Johnny Evans. There's two. I'm gonna go Raheem Sterling and Suso as a midfield too. I'm gonna go up top, Suarez.
That's ridiculous, isn't it?
After like I've thrown him in. I mean, Adam Morgan won't be happy. Like so,
he was lethal, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was class. Very good. Do you know what? And people don't see what actually happened with him in his football career, in the sense of the things behind the scenes at the clubs that he went to after Liverpool that sort of took away his happiness of the game, which is people don't see that side of football. Like, so I'm just glad he's happy now and he's doing really well in his coaching.
Yeah, it seems to be flying with this coaching, doesn't it?
Yeah, he's doing. He's flying. Like I think he's living down in Essex. Like, but like he's doing brilliant. Like, and he's still playing away and bagging them as well, part time too, on the side of obviously doing his coaching. So between Morgan, I mean, I can't really compare Morgan to Suarez. Like here, can I? I just have to throw Suarez in. Yeah, I'm sorry, I had to have to pick Louis.
Louis as well. So Suso, just a quick overview of Suso. I remember him coming through and thought technically he was unbelievable. Like he was definitely going to make it at Liverpool. For whatever reason, he moved on. But his career is still high level. AC Milan and Sevilla now, is that right? Sevilla?
Yeah, yeah. Ridiculous.
How was he on a pitch to play with?
Do you know what? He played on the right wing and I was right back. So I was obviously right behind him. And it was just like, you just watch him and you just be like, this guy is a shambles how good he is. Like, just like coming in his left and his passing ability, his shooting, his skill, just unbelievable. Like, and playing behind him was a pleasure, like at times, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he actually worked hard too. Like, he didn't just like completely leave you for dead, like defensively. Like, he worked hard. He had a bit of a strut about him, like Suso. Like, you could tell he knew he was a player, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, Raheem didn't have that, but like, see when you're that good, like he was like nutmegging people for days, and then just like shouting at a Lego or something. Joe, as soon as he nutmegs, like, it was like all the time. Like, he was a nutmeg king, and he was a complete freak ability. He had freak ability, and he's had a brilliant career as well. But you always knew he was going to have that career like that he's had, just because he was just too talented not to. I understand you can see people that have talent and don't have it. So obviously, like, his attitude as well is very good. But like, yeah, he just wanted to play football. Like, he didn't want to stay at Liverpool because he just wanted to play. And you have to respect that too. A lot of people can. I know I wanted to stay at Liverpool all the time because I just loved it there that much. But like, sometimes for your own sake, you have to leave to play. And that was sort of what he done. You know, and obviously he went to AC Milan. Like, it's another monster of a club.
Crazy.
Yeah, but he was a brilliant player.
And for any Liverpool fan who thinks, fucking Johnny Evans, who would you place him with from Liverpool if you had to?
Oh, right, okay. Sorry. Connor Cody. I'll say Connor Cody. Well, Carragher I played with in pre-season. No, I'll say Connor Cody because I've obviously played with Connor Cody a lot more games. I know that defeats the purpose when I said Suarez up top, but Suarez is the third best player of our generation.
Yeah, so you're always going to drop that name.
Yeah, I have to throw him in. It'd be an insult.
Right. Let's call that a pod. Thanks very much. I've known you for, I wouldn't say I know you. I've known you for a while in terms of chatting on Twitch because I know you stream your games and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you chatted to me in a time that was tough. So I just want to let you know I appreciate that.
No problem.
And good luck with the next move because I can tell that you're quite happy about the offers you've got, and the abroad one's definitely happening. So
hopefully.
So fingers crossed, and hopefully I catch up soon.
Brilliant, mate. Thank you.
Catch you soon.
See you soon, mate.
Thanks to everyone for listening to today's episode. Don't forget to follow our social media, twitter.com/theroadendpod, and also our Instagram page, instagram.com/theroadendpod.